Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. This is Chris Petri. Everyone, welcome back. I'm actually going to work on some flower ideas today. We're going to do a simple process here. We're going to kind of look at it as more of a slightly abstract idea. So sometimes in painting, creating paintings and our watercolors, we can look at things more abstractly. So maybe not so much in the sense of having to get every detail right, but maybe the idea of having an overall feel for some subject matter. So kind of looking at this, if I was to just quickly do this very briefly, and so if I do a couple things like this, okay, so if I did something like this quickly, more abstractly, you can kind of, you already know what that is. Even though it's not completely, detailed, and I didn't carefully do this and take, a couple hours to do this, but just this enough, amount of information gives you the overall feel of a beautiful cup or a vase or a pitcher of some sort, with a couple large flowers in there, and some some twigs and interesting shapes, and that feel of like a small flower arrangement inside of a pitcher or cup, so forth. So that's what we're going to have for this painting. And what we're going to do is we're going to key in on the watercolor and the paint more than we are the detailed drawing. So in essence, we're going to do this idea but in the watercolor paint. So what we'll do is we'll just do a light sketch of our subject matter. So and this is something that you can just have fun with. You can create this from looking at my video, or you can find a small cup around the house or a small pitcher and put some flowers in it. Try different methods on coming up with this idea. You can find pictures online, or maybe if you have a couple art books that might have some ideas in it. So I'm just lightly sketching out the idea of some flowers and some leaves, and in a small arrangement in a pitcher or like a small cup. And then it's going to have some colorful lines to it. And I'm going to do more of keying in on the interesting part of watercolor, which is the water and the paint, the colors, the feel of the watercolor, which is unique to watercolor painting. So if you painted this in acrylics or oil, you'd get a totally different look, obviously. So that's what we'll do. We'll key in on the virtues of the watercolor medium by having fun with the colors and the water, and so we'll have an apple here maybe, and some shadowing, a small little jar of some sort we could put over here. And that should be good. I'm just going to make some indications of a couple leaves. That's about good. So as you can see, I did not really do a tremendous amount of sketching or drawing here. I just really sort of laid out the basic ideas of the arrangement that we have, the floral arrangement inside of a nice little pitcher, and there's a rose there on top of this bouquet of a little small arrangement of flowers. And then we'll work on just the beautiful colors and watercolor paint to get to the final result here. So we'll just use a very simple palette. I have a small plastic palette. This is a Winsor & Newton handheld palette, and then some fresh clean water, and then we can go in and we'll start out and we'll have fun. We're gonna try to do this at a faster pace. So variation is really great here, so if we can vary I put a little green in there just to get some variation. And now I'm going to work fast, so and I'm going to focus in on the colors that I'm seeing across from me in the photograph that I have in one of my workbooks. So this is helpful to lay out some of your colors on the palette first as you're working. You can always go in and just go straight into your wells, but if you can kind of maybe do a little bit of pre-mixing, that gives you a little more time to so you'll see I kind of mix up some darks there with some burnt umber from French ultramarine blue. And the key here, I think, is to really just get lots of mixtures of different kinds of colors. And then working fast is an advantage sometimes because you're just really working quickly and just trying to get what you're seeing onto the paper. And it helps, in a sense, to do that. So the picture has these nice, really colorful, different colored stripes on it. So we're just kind of following the picture across from me. I am, and now it's got a really bright orange, and a little bit of red mixed in there. So you can change the colors around to whatever you would like, your favorite colors, or you can stick with what you see if you're working from a photograph or if you have something like a picture. But this is really fun because it's a lot of different colors. So this small picture has got a lot of different colors in it, so it helps us to make a nice, interesting painting with lots of color. And So that really works good. And we'll break up that line into different colors. So instead of, you know, most times we're tempted to paint just what we're exactly seeing, but sometimes a good thing to do is to kind of practice, like practice breaking up lines with different colors, or with skipping a little bit and leaving white paper. That's a good way to break some lines up. So it's good to break lines up in a painting. It tends to make the painting look more visually pleasing, more dimensional. And we'll just keep moving along here, and so we're having fun with colors here, and once we're working on an area and we kind of feel it's coming along pretty nicely, we can start moving into another section. So here I'll try to do a little bit of the I'm going to try to do a little bit of the shadow area here. And maybe a little shadow area here. And we'll do this apple. So we'll get some more red there. Maybe we'll do a little So I'm moving very fast here. I'm trying to, again, moving quickly or moving at a faster pace forces me to think quickly on my colors, and so I can sort of not get too worried about the colors. I'm just trying to quickly see the picture across from me and then make a decision and say, all right, that looks like a green with some brown mixed in it, and then that's how I kind of approach it. So I'm trying, and then a little blue to darken it. So I'm not getting too worried. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if I get it close, then I'm happy. And again, we'll do a little shadow color with some purple. I mixed that with alizarin crimson and French ultramarine blue. I usually have a shadow color mixed up, or a shadow color. I have usually mineral violet that I use for my shadow colors, and I'll do a quick little bit of splashing here, and we're going to go to the top here. So we'll move around the painting, and we'll do a nice the rose up here. Again, we can change around colors. I didn't necessarily use green for the bottom of the rose, but art, it's your painting. Art is something you're free to do the painting as you want to. You can change colors around. Here we have more of an orange flower. Again, I don't always stay in the lines, so even though I have lines on the paper, we can go over those. And if something, you know, if you can always pick up a little bit, lift a little bit of paint. Some darks works really great. Some darks. French ultramarine blue and burnt umber. So that usually looks really nice. Some darks. And now's a good time. We will do a little quick cleanup here on the palette, just a little bit. Maybe I'll just clear some space for some more colors. We'll keep working. And we'll mix up some greens. And again, this is where I'm not taking too much time in getting too worried about, it's more of an abstract look to it. This here is good to leave some lights, some bright lights inside the flower arrangement. That gives it like a feel of being three-dimensional, like you can see through it a little bit. So that's kind of nice to kind of to remember that if you can leave a little bit of like light showing through this area in the center of the flower arrangement. And okay, and then we're going to do some more lemon color up there, cadmium lemon yellow. So that's cadmium lemon yellow, cadmium orange, and then the same colors here added also with some alizarin crimson. And we'll do some shadow over here, just on the side. Some blue. Maybe we can go into some darker. It gives it a little more of a and that's really, this is really the basics of it. So I tried to get a little shadow in on this, on the side over here. I'd like to get a feel maybe of a table. So if you want to create a feeling of a table behind here, you might not want to. It depends. I think it helps with the light, with the feeling of light in the painting. If we put a sort of an edge there where the table might be, and a couple more splashes, I think, and we'll be having a nice flower painting. And it's simple. So it's simple, lots of beautiful color in it. It looks fresh because we didn't really suffer over getting every detail correctly. We can obviously do a little bit of touch-ups on this. I would let it dry probably, and for a couple hours, and then maybe go back in and do a few things, you know, maybe do a little more maybe add a few darker touches here and there to maybe, you know, make it feel a little bit more contrasty. And you can do like 2 or 3 or 4 of these, or a series of them, a dozen of these, and you can change around the colors. You can make the flowers different colors, the stripes on the vase different colors, and so it becomes exciting because you're changing the colors, let's say. And also, it's good practice. Alright, I hope we had fun. Let's try a couple of these, at least 2 or 3, maybe change around the colors a little bit, or just, you know, practice maybe one small, like a 5 by 7. Try maybe another one a little bit larger, maybe like a 10 by 12. And then maybe try a real small one, maybe like only a 4 by 4 inch or something, you know. So if you practice different size, if you try different size formats for this painting, you'll also kind of learn the size differences that you can have in your painting. So if you're used to just painting really large paintings, then this kind of will help you to focus in on something a little smaller. Or if you're used to working more small, you can then enlarge your paper and paint it a little bigger. You would just, you know, a larger painting, you're gonna use larger brushes. You might have to upgrade to a larger palette if you're going to do a larger painting. So this palette would be good for this size painting. It's almost like the size of your palette should be approximately the size of your painting. That's kind of like a good rule. So if you're going to do like a really large painting, let's say like, you know, quite large painting, then you would just use a larger palette so you have more mixing areas and areas to, you know, do your mixing and colors and so forth. So it gives yourself some more room to work with a larger palette if you're using a larger paper and you know, creating a larger painting. So, all right, let's enjoy, have fun, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.